So the Mandalorian isn't saving Star Wars. Let's talk about that. So today, December 3rd, 2020, Jeremy over at Geeks and Gamers decided to post a video talking about how he feels The Mandalorian, while good, is not saving Disney Star Wars. Okay. But why, for one, did he post that? Number two, what evidence does he have? And number three, I want to prove that it is. So, number one, easy reason why he posted it is because we all know Geeks and Gamers is there just to make views. Like a lot of channels are, but what he does, he uses the negative things with it rather than the positive, and uses that to bring people in. He fuels the hate. Jeremy is the epitome of what a Sith Lord would be. I hate to say that, but that is what it is. I'm sure he's a nice person in real life, but who he is on his channel, not at all who I want to be around. So I'm not subscribed, but for some reason it keeps popping up, which is why we're talking about it. Number two, we're going through this really quick. Number two, there isn't much to back that because, and I'm going to mix 2 and 3, because honestly, the sequel trilogy, which was his main argument, can be fixed by events happening in The Mandalorian. His argument is that The Mandalorian is going to have to play to what happened in the sequel trilogy, whereas I think Mando can rewrite the events of the sequels. We'll still have those sequels, but we'll have a better understanding as to what happened. Kind of like the Clone Wars to the prequels. Just think about that. Mando takes place about 20 some years before The Force Awakens, 5 years after Return of the Jedi. I'm pretty sure it's been determined it's 30 years between both. So this is where things can get fixed, and I think they're already on that way. Season 1 was all about setting up Mando and the baby and his relationship with Greef and with Cara. Well, now we're getting more into the Star Wars universe, and we're meeting Bo-Katan, we're meeting other Mandalorians, we're meeting Ahsoka Tano, we're meeting Cobb Vanth. You know, we're meeting these characters that are from the universe, and I think that's a great direction, because what that's meaning is we're going to get a better telling of the sequel trilogy and setup. The beginning of the First Order, the origins of Snoke, which I feel like could be what was in episode 4, and potentially introductions to characters who will meet in the sequels. So I have a fan theory, and something I'd really like to see. I think, not really a theory, but something I'd like to see, and I don't see why it couldn't happen. Finn's about 23 in The Force Awakens, so let's kind of keep that. Let's keep that age, and I'm thinking in the next couple of seasons, Mando could encounter a family that is being attacked by an Imperial faction and ends up saving them. However, the parents end up dying, and the child is an infant. Mando takes him, but then realizes he can't raise, Grogu and this child together, because whereas Grogu is more like a toddler, this is an infant, so he wouldn't have time for both. And so there's a character he meets earlier in the episode. I'll say she's a blonde, very tall lady. Befriends him. They fight together in the episode, and so she takes a child to her, trusting her. And he ends up leaving on the Razor Crest, while this lady ends up taking him to a facility, puts him in a bassinet labeled FN2187. And we learn that this lady is also Phasma. So this would be the birth or the beginning of Finn. And it would tie into Mando in just a very, very tiny way. But there's a connection. Star Wars is always connected. I know people hate that, but that's what Star Wars is. There's connection. There's always connection. The Force moves in a very, very weird way, a very weird direction. So why couldn't this be it? I mean, Star Wars Theory had a theory that Rey was the little girl in episode 4 in the classroom because she had the buns that Rey has. And I made a joke that, She's got Ray buns. And then we meet the magistrate in the last episode, and she had Ray buns. So I think it's more of a style than actually being Ray, because it doesn't make sense, because Ray's the youngest of the new trilogy characters. So that's where that theory is kind of off. But I think introducing Finn this way would kind of set him up. Like, oh, he has a connection to Mando, even though it's a very tiny one. It shows us where he came from. That way we can see how the children of the First Order came around. And that sort of helps in that development of the First Order kind of showing up. So that is something I'd like to see. But that kind of it goes back to my whole thing of how is Mando, it's not saving Disney Star Wars because the sequels are around. In fact, again, I still think it's correcting it. It's course correcting everything. Even though those movies are already made, it's giving a new backstory to them. It's writing what wasn't there. It's filling in the blanks. And that's not a problem. In fact, I think that's just the solution that we need. Is we need to fill in those blanks, because that's what's missing in those movies, are the blanks. And they tried that, I think, with Resistance. It didn't take off. It didn't have the feel of Star Wars. It felt very kiddie and just didn't work. And it's why it only lasted 2 seasons. And again, it took place in a time where the Resistance, it failed, it died, and didn't come back until Rise of Skywalker. So, yeah. But to say that Mando is not helping save the Star Wars franchise I think is a bold statement, and I think it's a wrong statement. I think it's a statement just to get people hated and heated more towards Lucasfilm. Because right now, let's look at it. What are they doing that is wrong? What is so wrong that they're doing now in 2020 and in 2021? Let's not talk about 2019. Let's not talk about 2017. What are they doing now? They're pushing the movies off to make sure they're doing better. We have all these series that are lined up to come out. So I'm not really seeing the problem here with what they're doing. We have all these books. The Del Rey timeline is out. We just got Master and Apprentice, which I just picked up. So we have that, which goes back to Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. You know, we're getting things. We got the end of Clone Wars at the beginning of the year. You know, we got Ahsoka Tano. We finally got Ahsoka Tano live action. Yeah, this is Filoni and Favreau, but Filoni's always had our back. Look at Clone Wars, look at Rebels. You know, he had his finger in Resistance. He's in Mando. I'm just saying that there's so much more that could be done bad than what's happening that's good. But I don't know. Those are just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And I will see you guys next time.